last night I had like a really cool. I'm just noticing the lag here, but because of the effects. A really cool, like very structured dream. I'm doing the new nicotine patch, so it's like it's circular and it sticks a lot better. It's a softer adhesive, so in the shower it doesn't really bother it as long as the adhesive dries, the water comes off of it, it'll stick back. So you can peel it off, kind of like a window cling, instead of a sticker, like the other ones. The other ones are more of a plastic adhesive, so just like a screen protector on your phone, once that edge gets a little either moisture or dust on it, the rest just slides right off, and then you can't reapply it. These hold a lot better, meaning I could place them on different spots, only a few times, and obviously once there's enough dust or once the adhesive starts wearing away, or it dries out, then you can't use it anymore. But these are the 21 milligram, 24-hour patches, and ever since I started using them, I literally don't have the craving anymore for a cigarette. Like, my normal cravings for cigarettes would be like right after I use the bathroom, like after I sit down to use the bathroom, right after that, I'm almost immediately pulling out the pack and rolling a cigarette. Before I even want to wash my hands, like that's how bad it was. Like I have to smoke a cigarette right after I just sat down. I go outside, smoke a cigarette. Then I'm using my phone, and of course, if I get too carried away after the cigarette, I roll another cigarette. It's a chain smoke habit. But I roll the cigarettes so that they take longer, and I have something to do with my fingers. So instead, now I've been playing more video games. I've been doing more with my phone. I got the LG Rebel 4. It's much more sensitive with the touchscreen, but less sensitive. Like the screen doesn't automatically turn on like the other ones used to with the knock on, or and like the other routine was if I have to make a phone call, but if I know I'm going to be either on hold or I know I'm going to have an important conversation, I'll smoke a cigarette before, and I'll roll 2 cigarettes ahead of time while I'm on the phone. That way, so I'll have the Bluetooth on and I'll be rolling cigarettes, and then I'll pull the Bluetooth down so that they don't hear the crinkle and the lick, and then I'll put the Bluetooth back on. And then, so I'll have 2 cigarettes during the phone call, 1 cigarette before I make the phone call, and then immediately before I hang up, I feel that I need to smoke another cigarette because I just finished something. Every time I finish something, like a task, I think I almost deserve a cigarette. You know, like the piece of cake after dinner. I don't like, I stopped doing all sugars. I even now do caffeine-free, like, diet soda. Caffeine is only for small coffees in the morning, and I do 3 of them. I'm only doing 2 now. It's 10 o'clock. My first coffee was at 8:30. The second one's at 9, and then I did some blood work for, down at the hospital, only 20 minutes later. But every coffee since the last 2 years, I've always had pink sweetener or Splenda. No sugar, no candies, no brownies, no cookies. If it's a cookie, it's oatmeal. I mean, I've always liked oatmeal raisin. But because of the deterioration of the teeth, because of the sugar in the past years, I can't even eat raisins. Because that little seed will get stuck and I'll rip my teeth out. Everything that I eat has to be soft. So I can still eat cheeseburgers, just no sesame seeds. I can still eat chicken, but it can't be wings. It has to be the breast, something that I can, it's soft when I cut it up. Or if it's something sweet, it has to be diced apples or cantaloupe or melon. This stuff does not get stuck in my teeth at all. And it hydrates and it tastes amazing. I'm not really too much into the vegetables, like carrots, but I still love potatoes and onions and stuff. But I have stop smoking as much, I'll have more of a craving for food because now I can taste it even more, 100 times more than before. The smell, I mean, I still have the deviated septum with the sinus drip, but I can still smell a lot better, and I smell better. You know, the stuff doesn't smell like an ashtray, and I don't have to worry about the tobacco getting all over the place. And every time that I think that routine happens, like I probably want to go out for a cigarette, I just remember, well, the nicotine patch is there. I don't need to go out for a cigarette. The nicotine is already there. It's constant. It's not like I'm waiting to replenish myself, like an IV drip versus getting a shot. It's constantly there. It's a 21 milligram for 24 hours versus these stupid lozenges. So they're 2 milligrams, and it says take one every 1 to 2 hours. But the consistency isn't like a mint, and it doesn't dissolve like a mint. It doesn't dissolve like a wafer. It has like a smooth finished film, and you'll every once in a while you'll taste this little like a spike, like you got a piece of tobacco on your tongue, but it dissolves, and it's just nasty. I don't like the taste of mint. I never did. I like the taste of licorice, ginger, or cinnamon. So, if I did have to do one, I'd rather do something smaller, not as big, not like a wafer. I'd rather do like a small mint, just pop one in if I thought I needed one, and I'd like a little tin, not a capsule, big plastic capsule. I'd rather have a tin, like an Altoid tin, or like a small, something very small that I could just put in my pocket, even if they were like micro, like battery, like micro battery size. Super small, the same amount, more hard, and then that way they would dissolve slower, and they would be easier instead of this large wafer that just leaves this weird film residue on my tongue and the roof of my mouth. It's like certain frostings or lemon cake. After you eat lemon cake usually has butter in it. So the butter plus the frosting leaves that weird film on the top of your mouth. So you're constantly licking it like a dog would lick the top of its mouth if it got peanut butter inside. But my dreams are way more structured now. I mean, I always had lucid dreams anyway, more color. But now, instead of the vivid color, it's more structured. So I can see people's faces. They don't change. Shapes and areas don't change randomly. Things don't break down as easy. And at night, I use this phone. It has an FM radio. I use my headphones as the antenna, and then I plug it in, and then I turn the alarm clock on. So it shows like a regular, you would have an alarm clock. It would have the black background with the red numbers for the time. And I just put it on super quiet, and I can hear classic rock in the background. So Elton John, Queen, Aerosmith, AC/DC, or Eric Clapton, Bob Seger, etc. So last night's dream, I only dreamt for like 2 hours. I only was sleeping for 2 hours, but the dream started. I went to this a month ago. I biked up to this country club in West Springfield, and it was obviously deserted. There was a little bit of minor work done, but they weren't setting up anything because it's a non-essential workplace because of this outbreak. It's April 23rd now, so when I went up there, it was mid-March. It was pretty cold. Golf courses were obviously bare. There was none of the chairs were set up. Nothing was set up. The propane tanks were not even filled, so the heaters weren't even on. But I noticed there was this one ashtray out back near the office, which was filled with cigarette butts. It was like they were all like good. They were half or more either Parliaments or Newports. So I took them all out. This is real. So I took them all out and I kept them so for backup tobacco. And then now I just went up there just to see what was going on. I biked around it a little bit and then I biked out and then went back to the hotel. In the dream, I was assuming I was homeless again. I wasn't in Pittsfield. I was back in West Springfield, and I noticed there was this truck doing a delivery to this country club again. So right before they closed the gate or the back of the truck, I hopped in and hid behind one of the boxes. And then they closed it all the way. They locked it, and I just waited. Then I noticed there was a backup sound, so I was able to undo the lock right before. So they backed up to the pool area. They allowed the gate to open. They backed up with the loading truck to the pool area, and I opened the lock. I slid it, and I rolled out, and I rolled underneath the truck. So the truck now is backing over me, but that way they can't see me. They unloaded all their stuff, and I'm in the grass, so I just waited, and then I heard the door shut. They take off, and I ended up falling asleep because they took so long to unload everything. Then when I woke up, I noticed I was in the middle of this like divot of a grass area, and there was like bushes around me, bushes around here, and then the gate's here. And there was a little walkway here that leads to the storage area, the guard station, the kitchen area, the bathrooms, exactly like the country club. And then so here's the pool area. Over here is the actual country club. You have the pro golf station over here. You have the office here, and then the dining area is this giant, huge dining area with windows all the way around. The second floor has there's a pool area. There's another bar, but there's bars on every single. There's outside bars, inside bars. There's a pool bar. It's a ridiculous amount of bars. And when I say bars, I'm not talking about like a pub. I'm talking about just an actual bar with glass bottles and glasses and champagnes and liquor and shot glasses and everything. But in the dream, there was no golf course. I couldn't walk. I was trying to figure out how to walk around the place, but then I looked out on the edge and it was water out on the edge of the parking lot, which in the dream, the parking lot that surrounds the country club. So just like here is the entire country club. Okay, so the pool area is this little spot right here. Here's the country club. Here's the extension of the country club, which would be that part that has the second story, and then surrounding it would be the parking lot, like right around here. But I noticed past the parking lot, it was water, not grass. So then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm on a cruise ship. So I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So this one building that I never entered or never figured out, the pro golf shop, in the dream, I was trying to walk. I walked into this one area, and it was the office, and I had my backpack on, I had this on, I had the leather jacket on, I had my Boston hat on, and I was shaved, so everyone there thought I was younger. They didn't think I was 32. They thought I was like teens. So everyone was like, well, how you doing with school, now that school's closed and stuff, and, how you enjoying the ship, and where are your parents? I'm like, well, I'm just looking for them. There's a lot of people here. And they're like, well, you'll find them eventually. What's your last name? I'm like, I couldn't tell them my real last name. So I'm like, well, who would be rich on a cruise ship right now? And I didn't see, it was more white and, I think it was warmer weather. So it was like they were going to either Bahamas or Costa Rica or somewhere around Florida area, or maybe just lower than that where the islands are, not on the other side, not on the west side like Hawaii. So I'm like, what would be my name? And I'm thinking, not Warner, and I just came up with Werber, Werber, Werber. I said Werber, and they're like, oh, the Werber family's over there. But they're older. I'm like, oh no, that's my aunt and uncle. and I'm thinking aunt and uncle in real life. So when I went over, I actually resembled one of their nephews. So they're like, "Oh my God, it's Stu Werber." I'm like, "Okay, Stuart, the glasses." I'm like, that works with the hair. So I just went with it, and I'm like, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to find the bathroom." So then I walked out of this one area because it was like the reception kind of. They were checking in. They were gonna get their suite and stuff, and then they were gonna go to the dining area to get some lunch. So I went out, and then I walked to that one area where I said the pro golf shop was. But instead of the pro golf shop, when you walked in, there was a platform, and then there was a pool, a large pool, and then there was these other lowering platforms, like mechanical platforms that would go up and down. And I thought that when I stood on one, I was going to walk through a gate, or if I headed down the stairs, I was going to walk and go somewhere else, because the water level was way lower. It wasn't like where the platform was. So you have the platform, go down, and then the water level, so you're talking like 150 feet, because this cruise ship is giant. So the water level started here, and the platform was here, and that's where I walked down. And then this guy walked up, and he seemed like he worked on the ship, and he cranked this shaft, and all of a sudden the platform started to lower. I'm like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And he's like, "Well, aren't you diving?" And I'm like, "Not in these clothes." And he's like, "Well, if you're on the platform, you're diving." And then this other guy hops from the one of the stairs, and he's wearing a scuba outfit. And I forget, this ship is literally designed so you can scuba down, and you can view the fish and stuff on the reef. So, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. And he's like, "Well, I'm doing it." The guy in the scuba suit, and he's standing right next to me. So the platform is still lowering. I'm like, "Crap, what do I do?" So I noticed the platform starts submerging into water, but it's not a caged platform. It's an open platform. Once you get down, you can either anchor yourself, or you can free with a tether. When you're scuba, you can tether yourself to this and float around, or you can anchor yourself so you can just view, and you get your GoPro, your waterproof camera, whatever, or if you're just collecting, shells or something. So I submerged, and then immediately I tried to get back up, but the backpack was too heavy. I was wearing my boots. I was trying to swim back to the side, and then somehow I noticed that, I forget, in my dreams I have gadgets and superpowers, but they never usually work, or they only work temporarily. This one was a reset. So I was like, "Shit, I can't get out of the water, and I don't want anyone to ask more questions." So I hit start stop, and it usually shows the time. But in this dream, when I hit that button, I reset back to the platform, and I reset so fast that in the dream, so if you're looking at me basically with the backpack on, I'm completely visible, unlike the scuba people. So I pop back out of the water, and I'm trying to struggle back to the side, and nobody's swimming or anything. Like I said, it's this certain pool area that you're supposed to submerge, and then when it fills up with water, another platform comes back and creates a base, and then it's a regular swimming pool. Like, unlike the regular pool area, which was more shallow, which was like kind of like jacuzzi or a chill out, that's where you can drink and just sit in the water. This area was more of a deeper swimming pool. Like they have athletic swimming. They have all these mechanical things will come around. So at certain points of the day, it'll become a water slide, water park for the kids, and then other times it becomes. And then the other rooms, there was a sauna, there was a shower room, there was a bathroom, and that's what I was trying to look for. So when I hit the reset button, I pop back on the platform, and I look, and there's a little bit of water, but I'm not soaking wet. So I reset back to, because it started raining in the dream right as I exited that building when I was talking with my aunt and uncle. So that's why I had a little bit of drop of water. So I reset. I wasn't soaking wet. I was like, "Oh, phew." And I started looking around, and I noticed the guy on the platform started calling in a lifeguard because visually everyone else saw me go under, because when I reset, the displacement of me disappearing and reappearing made the water pull in, so it looked like I was taken under. So they were trying to radio in a lifeguard or a couple people to look for me, and they couldn't find me. They were looking, and so I finally went to the bathroom, and I was trying to change to clothes that would make me fit in more, because then I started looking and they started doing lunch. So I just was like, who cares? Nobody's seen me. They're looking into the pool. They're not looking at the platform anymore where I started walking onto the lowering platform. So I book it into the bathroom, and like I said, before I started doing that, I noticed that all the waiters were wearing a red shirt, like a red button-up shirt, that were buttoned all the way up with a collar and black pants. So I forget, in the dream and in the backpack, I have a red shirt. So, and I have this black shirt too for an underneath. So I wanted to kind of blend in at the time and make it seem like I wasn't the guy with the leather jacket in the backpack. So I tossed the backpack over where all the other backpacks were, near the sauna area outside, where all the luggage was. I just tossed it over there, put this red shirt on. And then, so I have the red shirt on with the black pants, hair's nice, I have the glasses on, and I walk in and I wander into the kitchen, and one of the other guys who's wearing a red shirt, he pulls me in. He's like, "What are you doing? We're just starting lunch. We just got to rush. Everyone's already checked in. They want their drinks." I'm like, "Okay." So he hands me a dish, a platter with a martini on it. It's a red martini. There's a pink martini. I don't know what the drink is. And he says, "Go to table B5. And I'm like, "B5? And he's like, "You forgot again? Columns, rows, columns, rows, columns, letters, rows, numbers, B5. I'm like, "Oh, B5. I'm like, "Okay." So I start wandering over, and then I noticed that the platter started tilting a little bit, and I tried to hold the martini glass, and I'm like, okay, weird. Because the ship, think about it, so it started raining, meaning that there was a storm coming in. So the ship wasn't really like moving a lot, but I wasn't used to being on a ship, because I had basically stowed on the ship. I had tried to figure out how to blend in. So I'm walking down, and it's really fancy. All the tables are like marble tables, and it's not like the Titanic. It's like a modern cruise ship, but it's like really fancy. So it's like more of a black wood, or black leather cushion seating, dark, like oak wood backing, and then the tables were all like a dark gray marble, darker gray than this, but kind of the same look. And then there was this girl sitting in a black dress, sitting at one of the tables, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, well, here's your drink." And I almost spilt it, so I just took the drink off and just set it, and I got the napkin, set the drink down, napkin's there, and then I'm like, "Thank you," and because she stood up before, and I started walking away. She says, "Yeah, thank you," and I'm like, "Oh, sorry." So I went back to the table. I was like, "I'm sorry, miss, would you like anything else? Are you all set tonight?" She's like, "Yes, I am." She was kind of being sarcastic and joking, but at the same time, she thought that like I was just being rude or something, or like I was trying to ignore her. And she's like, "I've never seen you on this ship before." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm new. I'm here also visiting with my aunt and uncle, and working, training, actually." And she's like, "Oh, that's why you're so nervous." I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, okay, what's your name?" And then I was like, Stu Werber." She's like, "Oh, okay. Oh, you're with the Werber family. That's right. Okay." And I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Have a nice night." She's like, "Didn't you ask?" aren't you going to ask anything else? I'm like, well, what's your name? And then I forget what her name was, but she's like, the owner of the ship, that's my dad. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started making this story up of where I'm from, and of course I still have the Boston hat, so I'm like, I'm from Boston. She's like, yeah, that's right. They are too. They have a different accent though. I'm like, well, different side of the family. So I just made up this story and stuff. And then she's like, well, there's going to be a reception after because someone's having a wedding if you want to join in with the party. So I'm like, okay, cool. So then I actually find someone else's shirt, which is a white shirt, so I can now go into the reception area. I skipped past the wedding because that's when lunch was. The wedding was only for certain people, not for the entire ship. So then now there's a skip scene, and I end up in the reception area. And what is it? All the frat guys that ended up being part of another party on the ship were gonna do just the jump in the pool after the reception area with their suits on, or with their not with their jackets on, but with their suits. You know, they usually do that. So it's like everyone just jump in at the same time. And I'm like, I really don't want to do that right now because in my head, I already know that I already did that, and everyone, this whole section of, they're still looking for me. They didn't find me. So I'm like, I don't want to do this. So like, yeah, you're chicken, whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So these 6 guys, they all jump into the pool with their shoes and everything. They're all like raising hell because they're all drunk and stuff. And so then I just be quiet. I mingle back in to the reception area, or to the party, or to the bar area. Is a smaller area of the entire restaurant area, separate, where everyone's just having drinks and stuff. And then this guy just says, hey, come over here, you want a drink? I'm like, okay. He says, what are you having? Bourbon, straight. I'm like, okay. So we're just drinking. He's like, where are you from? And he says, you look familiar. And I'm like, huh, that's odd because everyone here never seen me before. And he's like, yeah, I thought I saw you earlier today, but you were dressed differently. You weren't all dressed nice. You were kind of dressed with a leather jacket, and you had a backpack on. And we were trying to look for someone who looked just like you. I'm like, I don't know, because he already had a little bit in him, but he could still handle it. So he was like, I'm like, well, I was near the pool area. He's like, oh, so you're the guy who we were trying to look for? We were looking for you all day. You disappeared you went in the water without a scuba suit on, with everything on, and then you disappeared. And I'm like, yeah, I jumped out really quick. I swam underneath the water onto the other side, jumped out, and then changed. And he's like, so we can let everyone know that you didn't disappear? Because you weren't even on the list. I'm like, yeah, because I'm training. Whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he walked away, talked to a bunch of people, let them know that I was the guy who they were trying to look for. And then they all came over, and I started getting nervous, and then they were like, dude, you got us all messed up. He's like, come over here, and then we're doing drinking games. And I'm like, okay. And these are all guys that are like 45 to 55, like all the uncles and stuff, and the guys who either own the ship or run the ship. And they have the white, like, shiny tuxes and stuff, and they all also have guns. There's cocaine. There's like, I'm like, what the hell? And then there's girls serving. Now I'm in the VIP section, like the upper deck, the VIP section. They're doing drinking games, and I've never heard of these certain drinking games before. So there was this one thing where there was this glass box, tall glass box with these 6 discs, and somehow with your hands, there were sensor discs, and with your hands you had to use your fingers and try to move the discs around without touching the glass, without touching the discs, or going inside the glass or manipulating. And you had to get this ball to move around and tap these little pieces to have them fall over. Kind of like candlestick bowling, but the sticks were set up kind of like electronically. So when the ball, when you maneuver these discs, it would allow the ball to move around to these different platforms, to these clear glass platforms, and then move these pins around. And if you move certain pins, because everyone would on a board like this, you'd have circles, and then you'd mark like 4 pins that you didn't want the other person to knock down. But there's like 10 pins per disc. So you choose 4 pins for 4 platters of pins, and those pins you can't knock down. Every time you knock one down, you get a negative. And I'm like, what in the hell kind of game is this? But it actually kind of like was, like I said, with the nicotine patch, it made the whole game structured, and I understood the game. So I started doing it, and then I was like, wait a minute, and I get the game, and I'm like moving the ball around, moving it around, and the ball's magnetic, and the discs are also reverse magnetic. So when you're moving the discs around, it allows you to move the ball and hop the ball up to different platforms and back, because it's like a maze. If you don't want to hit a certain pin, you now have to go back, hop back up through another hole on a platter, and then you can hit the other pins, drop through a hole, and move around. If you come up to an obstacle, like there's 4 players on the whole board, so let's say you get up to this one section where there's 3 pins in a row that are blocking your path, and then no matter what platter or what set of pins you're trying to knock down, because you're trying to knock down your own pins, which are 10 pins, like bowling, but it's a 3D platter candlestick mini bowling game, magnetic, and I'm like, this is the most genius freaking thing I've ever thought of in a game. So I did the whole thing, and I'm like, and then right at the end, and I'm like, I had 1 stick left, and there's no timing of it, but remember, it's a drinking game. So every time I knock down one of my pins, everyone has to drink. So now I'm down to 1 pin, and everyone already has 9 drinks, and I haven't had any drinks. I'm just sipping this like seltzer beer or something. So I have 1 pin left, and I'm on the 3rd platter, and I have to get down to I'm on the bottom platter, but I have to get back up to the 4th platter and knock down that last pin. And everyone's doing the ooh, because I have to figure out how the holes work, and I'm like, and also the platters rotate. They don't rotate constantly, but they rotate on a timer every minute. So the longer you take, the more that the platters move. And so I'm trying to figure out like the timing, and then I forget the gadget in my dream, in this reality, is my watch. And so I'm timing it, and right now it says 49, 50, 51, 52, and I see one of the platters already moved 30 seconds ago, and then I go 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I knock the pin down, and I just stand back, and they're like, holy shit, you got a 300? And I'm like, they're like, you've never played this game before? And I'm like, no. And then I'm thinking, it's my dream, I made the game. So then the next guy, one of the big frat boys that was part of the leader of all those 6 guys that jumped in the pool, he comes up and he's like, yeah, I'll beat you. And then, so he now we reset the whole game. We choose all our pins and stuff, and he's sitting there with the platter, and I'm like, this guy probably has played this game a million times. And then he starts like just doing this. I'm like, what? He's like, and then the ship now, the storm's getting worse. So then the ship's starting to move, and his hand slips, and he immediately knocks 3 of the pins, the other people's pins over, without any of his pins, because remember, you have to knock down one of your pins first, and then you have to knock down, if you knock down another person's pin, it's negative. So he got a -3 on the first try. He lost, like that. So he's like, what the and then he turns around, just storms off, orders a beer, and everyone's like, dude, that is awesome. You did it on the first try. You knocked down every one of your pins without touching anyone else's pins. And I was like, okay, cool. And so now we go, and it's getting late. It's 10:33 right now a.m. But in the dream, it's like 10, or it's like 11 o'clock. So now the music starts. So the dance floor is open. Everyone pushed all the chairs away, and there's like a DJ playing music and stuff. And now the ship's like kind of getting knocking back and forth. So there was an overhead announcement by the captain. He says, "Everyone get back in your cabins. It's going to get rocky, and make sure that you're secure. Make sure all your stuff is secure, so nothing's falling overhead." Um, the bartender started putting all the glasses in cases and securing them in cabinets and locking them up. But I'm in the VIP section, so there was this one bar open, and we had just a select amount of liquor, and it was just vodka and bourbon and scotch and whiskey. And then I'm thinking, I forgot about the FM radio that's playing. Through the entire dream, my phone is playing the FM radio. So that was George Thorogood playing when that was the liquor that was left last. So now we're just sitting at the bar. We're kind of, just talking and stuff. And there's certain people dancing on the floor. The ship's now rocking more. And now because it's raining so much, some of the windows were open, so the water's coming in. Some of the glasses are falling on the ground, crashing and stuff. Now I'm getting kind of drunk too, and I start playing my own music, which I think Billie Jean came on the radio, so there was a good dance beat in reality. So in the dream, I started dancing my stuff. I started. Then I jumped on the stage. I started beatboxing and stuff. Someone else started speed rapping, and someone else started doing a double beatbox. So we had two bass lines, two beatboxers, and a speed rapper. And then it started getting even worse. So people started just leaving, and then I noticed the girl from where I was waiting on came over, and it was like, "Hey, you're in the VIP lounge," and then he's like, "I want you to meet my dad." And the guy who was talking with me the entire time, he's like, I'd like you to meet. He's like, "Yeah, I already know, Stu." She's like, "How do you know him?" He's like, "He's the guy who just beat everyone at, I forget, I don't even know the name of the game. I have to make the name of the game up now because I just figured it out. In a dream, he just beat everyone on the first try, and he's never tried it before." She's like, "What?" She's like, "But you said you'd never been on the ship before. You're training." I'm like, yeah, I am. And so then she's like, "Whatever, good song." Another song comes on the radio, and I forget what it was, but it's another good dance beat. It was probably like Queen, Another One Bites the Dust comes on the radio in reality. So we start dancing, we start grooving, and now there's even less people because the VIP lounge is small, and it overlooks the other dance floor. So now there's nobody on the main dance floor. The DJ's just in the corner. He's going to put his stuff away. But then I noticed there's this portable unit over in the corner that's waterproof, because now the water's kind of coming in. So I take the waterproof unit, I take this bungee cord, and I wrap it onto the two railings so it doesn't move anywhere. And I put my phone in the top part, which is also waterproof, and you can close it. And it's Bluetooth. So then I started playing my music, and I forget the next song. So now we're playing music portably. The DJ's gone, whatever. And it's also a portable karaoke unit too. But the screen wasn't working, so you couldn't see the lyrics. And the guy who was getting married was also in the VIP lounge with his wife. And I'm like, I'd like to sing one, because now it's getting really late and everyone really, really has to get to their cabins because they have to kind of break through the waves to get through the storm. So this is toward the end of the dream now, and I'm like, I like to play one song, and I've been trying to request this all night anyway, but now the DJ is gone. So I try to look for it on my phone. Data's not working, obviously. So I'm like, I wanted to play Secret Agent Man. I want to karaoke Secret Agent Man for the best man. Or, I'm not obviously his best man. His best man was the frat boy who lost the first time. So he's like, well, he's an idiot. Go ahead, whatever you want to play. So I'm like, I don't have the song. I can't get the song. Nobody had it on their phone. Nobody has data. It's in the middle of the sea. So I'm like, Beyond the Sea would be a good song by Bobby Darin, but you need more of like the music itself to go with it. So I'm like, I'll just do Secret Agent Man. So I started singing Secret Agent Man how I would normally do, except I forget the lyrics and everyone, because we're all drunk, but without the music. I think we were actually playing some other song by Bob Seger, The Power of Love, which is the Back to the Future theme, and I have the hair to go with it. So I just was like, you know what, we'll just go with that song and I'll sing it to that song. But when it came up to Secret Agent Man, the chorus, I started singing as Bob Seger. I started sounding like Bob Seger doing Secret Agent Man. So imagine Bob Seger's voice singing Secret Agent Man. And then going back to living in the Riviera one day, and there's like a whole bunch of people like singing with me. They're trying to like keep me going and stuff. And then I finish, Secret Agent Man, whatever. Inception. And then all of a sudden, all the glass breaks, everything falls off the bar, and everyone kind of piles into each other to kind of hold, everyone together. And they're like, that was an awesome song, this is the best night of my life, whatever. And then I wake up, and then I look at the time, and it's only 1:30, and I went to sleep at 11 o'clock. I dreamt this whole thing in an hour and a half, and I've been talking for 20 minutes about the dream. So I had a 20-minute straight dream that had no disruptions. There was a few disruptions that kind of made no sense, but they were only lasted a couple seconds. But the rest of the dream was completely structured, and it was about a cruise ship, and I meet this girl, and there was an awesome party, karaoke, and I had the music to back up, and I think it was because of the nicotine patch, because I had it constant, because normally if I was smoking, I'd smoke before I went to sleep, and then I'd wake up halfway through a dream or something, it wouldn't continue, or the dreams would be like switching the channels every minute on a cable. It'd be completely different. I'd constantly go through different dreams. Nothing would be structured. None of the characters, or like a video game, they'd be called NPCs, would remember what you did previously. So even if you entered a cheat or went through a mission, they wouldn't remember exactly how you went through the mission. But in the dream, it was perfect. The storyline was perfect. The script was perfect. I wrote the whole script myself. I architecturally designed the entire layout, the plot, beginning to end. And I'm like, so when I woke up, I'm like, damn, I like this patch. So that's another benefit too. If you do have lucid dreams, the patch will help you continuously structure your dream. They won't break up. You won't go nightmare, dream, blackout, mini dreams, stupid dreams, and they'll all kind of reset back to a storyline. So if you script it, plot it, architecturally design it, and it's steady all the way through. It doesn't fluctuate. So that was the dream last night.